Very powerful show today. Very powerful. Ready? Hit it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, my friend. I am Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking about the two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like here on earth, the other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. Makes it important. The silent majority has finally found its voice. I don't think it's quite loud enough yet. I hope it gets louder. I hope we are emboldened. I pray for that, actually. I pray for that. That my fellow followers of Christ Jesus, my fellow believers, will actually start taking their civic duty seriously. Chris Ann Hall, a constitutional attorney who I just admire and respect so much. I've had her on the show a couple of times. She threw out this stat one time that just stunned me. And that is a third of the population, just in my state, California, a third of the population claims to be Christian, yet only about 40% of them are even registered to vote. And when it comes to the most crucial elections, more important than the big elections, deciding who's going to the big elections in November, come every either May or June, we have a primary election every 2 years. And that's where we decide who's going to the big election. And if we don't choose and get behind a conservative candidate and all vote for that person, we have what's called a jungle primary in California. Real convenient, where the top two vote getters go to the final election in November. So we've been having more than once now two Democrats running for the same office. We could have had the best conservative candidate you could ever ask for, and our own state party doesn't get behind them, and my own fellow conservatives don't get behind them. We lose. They are controlling this state, and we're seeing it happening right now down in Los Angeles. My guest today is JJ Carrell, Carrell. JJ is a retired Border Patrol agent and an author, and now a filmmaker. He's quite an extraordinary gentleman. I'm very excited to have him on and to introduce him to you, and you and I will find out more about him all at the same time. But I would like to ask you right now to do me a favor, and that is to help this show grow. I just over the weekend had Facebook delete every single one of my Facebook pages, my personal, my Do Not Talk page, my media page, my Charlie West page, because I'm on country radio, some country radio stations. I go by Charlie West on there. All of them gone. That is about 40,000. About 40,000 people. Suddenly I've just disappeared out of their lives. I don't know what to do about it. Nothing, I guess. I've heard of other people who've had their channels deleted, especially on YouTube. YouTube has deleted a lot of my videos, but so far I've been able to keep the channel at Charlie Simons. But and that's where we are live right now, by the way. So if you can subscribe to this page, I sure would appreciate it. And follow me on rumble.com/do not talk. What you could do right now to really help this show grow, this particular episode, like it. Just that simple. It really is a powerful thing to hit that like button. If you do that for me right now, I sure would appreciate it. I'll wait. My watch seems to have stopped. Oh, it's funny. I'm not even wearing one. So, yeah, thank you for liking it. I appreciate it. And then when we're done, share this show. Share it on your platform so you can be deleted like I have. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know that's why a lot of people don't share my shows because they're afraid they're going to get everything deleted too. It's an effective and powerful tool to shut us up and shut us down. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. All that Mark Zuckerberg testifying before Congress and showing up at President Trump's inauguration and talking about a kinder, gentler platform towards conservatives. Frickin' lie. A lie. Yeah, he may have gotten rid of the fact checkers, which saved him a whole bunch of money. Fact checkers. But now it's all AI. AI is running everything there. And they hate us. So do what you want. As for me and my household, we're going to continue speaking out. The silent majority has finally found its voice. Let's bring him in now, ladies and gentlemen. But first, I want you to see a trailer of one of his documentaries, J.J. Carroll. Very powerful. And it fits right in with what's happening right now in Los Angeles. And for those watching live right now, you understand that a lot of times I have to add things in later before I post it on Rumble. So we'll be coming out of that trailer now in 5, 4, 3. JJ Carroll, get in here, my friend. Get in here. Hello, buddy.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you about that. I'm sorry about your Facebook. It happened with me with TikTok, and I'm suppressed constantly throughout YouTube. We don't live in America. You may call us America. This is not the United States of America. This is not the republic that our founding fathers created. We don't resemble anything that we did 250 years ago. And if you do believe that, you are a fool. You're an absolute fool.
Yep, I agree. What's happening in Los Angeles? I was actually there when it started, attending a family wedding yeah, in Simi Valley. And we heard about what was going on over there because it's about what, 30, 40 minutes away from Los Angeles. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And we heard about what was happening on Friday and law enforcement doing nothing.
Mhm.
Then it got more serious on the actual day of the wedding on Saturday. We're getting all kinds of reports. We, as in people in the wedding party, are talking about this. Something's going on in Los Angeles. No law enforcement stepping in. No Governor Newsom stepping up. And Sunday, of course, we know what happened. And that's when President Trump said, "You're not going to do something, Governor Hairdo? I will."
Mhm.
Send in now at this point, last I heard, 7,000 troops. That's 7,000 National Guard members there. They're not roaming the streets. They're not quelling the crowds. They're protecting buildings.
Mhm.
Federal and state buildings is what they're doing. So what you're seeing in the media is a complete fabrication. And then 700 active duty Marines. Boom. But their whole job is protecting federal buildings. They don't want to have happen in Los Angeles what happened up in Seattle and Portland 4 or 5 years ago. That's all they're doing right now because they can't fire upon U.S. citizens, can they now? Especially the active duty Marines. They're not supposed to do that, are they?
Well, this is so multi-layered, the problems, and it's in a way it's kind of good because it shows you how incompetent we are as a nation when it comes to this, and it's also very clearing the battlefield and drawing the lines very, very defined. Why do we do everything half-assed in law enforcement? As a guy that was in for 24 years, I said the same thing. Why is everything half-assed? Why do we build a wall that just keeps some people out? Why do we bring in 7,000 National Guard when we need 15,000, 30,000? Why are we bringing in 700 Marines when we should bring in 7,000? But we'll allow our law enforcement officers to be assaulted, to be put in positions that where they can die, all because of political correctness. And listen, I am the biggest Donald Trump fan, Tom Homan, Rodney Scott, and Kristi Noem. However, with that being said, somebody needs to lose their job because you sent ICE officers about 50 to 100. The numbers are kind of all over the place, but let's just say 75. We'll split hairs. You sent 75 Border Patrol and ICE officers into the belly of the beast of Los Angeles in the Garment District and in a barrio of LA. Sanctuary state, no backup. The chief of police in LA says, "I'm not going to help you." And you left them. You sent them down there with no backup. What moron decided that operational plan was sound and secure and went forward? Who? I know several of the people that run ICE and that run the Border Patrol, and they're incompetent. They're incompetent. And this is a beautiful example of their incompetency and in their willful ignorance and stupidity.
This is supposed to be secret, top secret when they're going to be doing their raids. Nobody's
Oh,
supposed to know
come
where they
on.
are, but yet people are finding out. So obviously something's being leaked. Something's happening somewhere much higher up.
Well, that and it's not doesn't take a rocket scientist to see, oh wait, there's a lot of unmarked vehicles that are sedans rolling through here. Oh, there's a couple vans unmarked. That's ICE. And you see guys jump out with their vest on. You're like, okay, this is ICE. This is absurdity. This is sophomoric the way that we are operating in law enforcement. How do you do threat assessments before you do your operations? What idiot said, it's going to be okay in the garment district where everyone's illegal? We're going to go to the barrios. People don't understand. Southern California is nothing but Tijuana cleaned up a little bit. That's it. Same thing in El Paso. El Paso, Texas, all that is Juarez. That's just it. California is barrios, ghettos filled with Mexican nationals, illegal aliens, and family members of illegal aliens. You have no one there that gives a crap about you. The Mexican flag waving, that was part of my life working in San Diego sector for 24 years. But this is bigger than illegal aliens and their flags. This is also a Mexican takeover for Aztlan. They believe that this is their land. That's
They're
stolen.
saying that now.
Yes,
They're
they're
openly
openly.
saying that in the media when they're
Yeah,
being interviewed. This is our land. It was here.
Yep.
It was ours originally. We're taking it back.
Yes, and the Mexican senators from Mexico are actually saying the same thing. This is our land. We're going to take it back. And then maybe the third thing that's happening is this is a global initiative to destroy America. You have to understand. I want your audience to understand. Do you know who's running this? Do you know the NGOs that are being used? And do you know that the NGOs that are leaving bricks, pallets of bricks, cinder blocks, firearms, they're
And
doing everything.
supplying hammers to break up the bricks and the cinder blocks to all of the protesters.
But do you know who's funding it? The vast
Well, one of
majority
them
of
is associated with the Communist Chinese Party. He's a former business owner who.
yeah, Neville Shyham.
That's it.
However, it's even worse than that. When you dig into the NGOs, do you know who's funding the NGOs? The federal government. The
Yes.
federal government. We Americans, yes, we're funding our demise. We're paying the hitman to kill us. That's the
It's
perfect
crazy.
analogy. Why
Yeah.
hasn't I love Donald Trump. I'm a big MAGA guy. Why is Donald Trump's administration not closed down all these NGOs and rip their money from them? Why has that not happened? Why? Because our government is corrupt to the core. It's corrupt. And we live and we are ruled in a tyrannical government by traitors. I believe that completely.
Speaking, you said of accident, but you said governor, our governor, Governor Hairdo, as
Oh,
I affectionately call him. Did you see that little press conference he held yesterday?
oh yeah, where he's almost crying. Yeah, he's an embarrassment. He is. You know what? This is the truth. Our nation has become. Our men have become effeminate. We have become impotent. Our testosterone goes down every year. Our sperm count loses. An average man loses 1% of his sperm count because we're feminized through our water, our food, psychological, religion, and he is the perfect example of the
Yep.
effeminate man. And
Oh, yeah.
listen, all of you people that think, well, he's a decent guy. No, this is the guy that had an affair with his best friend's wife when he was running for mayor of San Francisco, and his best friend was his campaign manager. That's the type of human being we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I look at him. My father was a Secret Service agent, big, powerful man. And my father used to point out men like that. And he would have this saying. He would say, son, that man's never been punched in his face before. And I was like, after a while, I was like, Dad, what does that mean? He goes, that man does not fear any physical altercation. So he does whatever he wants to do. And that's Gavin Newsom. Everybody else can't go grocery shopping, can't leave your house, but I'm going to go to a $1,500 dinner and I'm going to be able to shop. I can do anything. You can't go out and enjoy the beach. I'm going to go out to the beach. You can't have a nice house. I'm going to have someone give me a $9 million house because there's no repercussions for the trader's criminal activity.
No. And I'm seeing that in a lot of video of the protests going on down in Los Angeles where they're trying to block ICE vehicles and the law enforcement vehicles standing in front of it. And some of them are they're not barreling through at full speed, but they're still proceeding. And the reaction as these clowns are climbing up onto the hood of law enforcement vehicles, and the driver hits the brakes so they fall off. And I'm listening to the crowd freaking out over it.
Mhm.
How dare you? And oh, by the way, what is the deal with all these protesters calling law enforcement people the N word? Have you heard that?
Well, they're because they're grossly racist. The Mexican culture
Full on,
despises blacks,
full on.
despises them. They are subhuman in the Mexican culture and the Latin American culture. That's why you're seeing no blacks out there. There are no black. Number one, someone asked me this the other day. Why don't I see any black Americans? And I go, do you understand that they have been replaced in Los Angeles? They don't live in Compton. They're not in the barrios. Those are all Mexican and Latin American illegal aliens and their family members. Let's just be honest. Let's call the truth what it is. We have been invaded. We have been taken over. This is not something, Charlie, that started overnight. This is since 1965 under the Immigration Act that was funded and founded and pushed by Ted Kennedy. And Ted Kennedy was the sponsor, co-sponsor of every immigration bill
Under
to his death.
President Lyndon Johnson.
Yep. And then you brought in all these illegal aliens from third world cesspools, and we're shocked, right? I love this when people are like, I just don't know how all this happened. But what planet are you been comatose your whole life? What is wrong with you? You know? And you talked about a minute about the law enforcement. And this is not, I don't find any joy in saying this because those are my brothers and sisters. However, law enforcement, police, federal, state, local are a reflection of society. What is our society? Our society is beta males, effeminate, unsure, don't know really what to do, and that reflects in our law enforcement. You look at people breaking the riot lines. You have police officers with people hitting them in the back. You have fat, obese DEI law enforcement officers that if they got in a fight, they would have a heart attack and die. How did we get to this point that we're so ineffective? It's an embarrassment. I would never, me and the guy, look, I've only been retired for 4 years. I could put my gun and badge and my uniform on and I could go to war right now and I would be in shape and I'd be ready to go. And I would do better than 99% of those losers that are doing it right now, where we have nobody that's going to protect us. If you don't think that, you think I'm being I have hyperbole, I'm being dramatic. Really? Go look at the videos and point out the officers that you want to have them protect you. Go ahead. Pick it out. I dare you. And you're going to be shocked. You're going to lock your door and go, dear God, we're not going anywhere ever, because they will never be able to protect you. Because the rules of engagement, the ability, the knowledge to know what policy and law is and how to react, how to use the use of force, they don't know it. Because why? Because we've gone through the Ferguson effect, George Floyd, BLM, defund the police. You're a racist. You're a Nazi. You're a xenophobe. So what do all these law enforcement guys do? They pull together in the shell and they go, screw it. I'm going to collect my check and get to retirement. That's what's waiting for you, America.
You mentioned rules of engagement during the Obama era when Marines were called in or showed up or even protecting the White House. They were not allowed to have ammunition in their guns. Their M9s or M4s had nothing in them.
No, that's true. I ran National Guard units on the border when Gavin Newsom and all those other losers would send the National Guard. And I remember the very first time that I interacted with the National Guard, because I was a supervisor, and I stopped and I met them, and both the National Guardmen were out of their vehicle, and I just happened to look down, which all law enforcement does, look at the weapon, and I'm like, quietly kind of looked around and said, "Hey, man, you don't have a magazine in your gun." And he goes, "Yeah, I know, it's in my pocket." I went, "Okay, hold on a second. Your magazine, do you have a round in the chamber?" "No, I don't have anything." So so if I need you in a deadly force situation, you got to take your magazine out of your pocket, put it in to the gun, rack it, and then you have a round in your chamber? I said, "That's not good. I can't do this. This is no." And they go, "Well,
$20 says there wasn't even any rounds in the magazines.
Unfortunately, you are probably 100% right. That's the kabuki theater.
Those are the rules of engagement.
Yes.
For military.
Yep. I want your audience to understand how grotesquely corrupt every facet of our society has become. All of it. And if you think you're going to be protected by law enforcement, you are an absolute fool. A fool. They're not coming. There's not enough of us. There's not enough of the alpha male law enforcement inside law enforcement. And you say, okay, we're going to start hiring them. Like my wife asked me yesterday, JJ, I heard Trump's going to have the big, beautiful bill and they're going to add 10,000 ICE officers. I said, do you know how long
Must be
that's
like
going to
$8
take?
billion set aside in that bill for this.
Yeah. Do you know how long it takes to get one ICE officer or Border Patrol agent hired and have a gun and a badge on? That's about a 2-year wait.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
I got to hire you. It takes a long time to test you, background check you. That takes a year. Then I got to put you through the
The
academy.
training.
Then I have training to get you on the street. We're 2 years out minimum of getting one more ICE agent. Do you know how many ICE officers there are in America right now to deport the 50 million illegal aliens? There's only
Well, you said
6,000.
only 75 were in Los Angeles for this
Yeah.
sting operation, but so I don't know how many.
There's only 6,000 in the whole nation.
Oh, boy.
Listen to what I'm saying. 6,000 ICE officers have to arrest and deport over 50 million illegal aliens. You see the absurdity of this? And like I said, I'm a big Trump guy, but I have to push back on Donald Trump right here and say, sir, you were lining up to be president for 4 years. You didn't have this planned out. You didn't have I would have done everything differently. Everything. I ran station. Ran large task forces. I was not some just low-level guy. I was a high-level Border Patrol agent. I ran massive task forces. This is not how you run task forces. This is
I'm not
not how
even
you run.
seeing I'm not even seeing public service announcements to hire. Looking for work, once become an ICE agent. I'm not seeing anything like that.
But you know why? Because they don't have the budget. Do you know the Republican Party owns the purse right now, and they have not funded the deportation process that Tom Homan needs? Do you know that? That's Speaker Johnson. Speaker Johnson found tens of billions of dollars for Ukraine, $9.7 billion for NGOs to traffic children and people into America, but has not found one red cent for the deportation effort. Where's Jim Jordan? Where's Comer? Where's all of those gutless bastards? Where are they?
I've got a lot of my fellow broadcasters and podcasters have been complaining a lot about Speaker Mike Johnson, and I've been like, give him a chance. Come on now, he's better than Kevin McCarthy. Give him a chance. Things will turn around. But
Don't give
the
him
more I hear,
don't give him a chance. Nope. Not one. I wouldn't give him a chance. No way. You know how I knew this guy was a fraud? As a Christian, you know how I knew he was a fraud? The very first moment he becomes speaker, what does he do? He makes a spectacle and gets on his knees and prays in the House of Congress. Just what God told you never to do. Don't make a spectacle. Go in your closet, go in your room where no one can see you and pray to me. But you make a spectacle, just like Mike Pence makes a spectacle about being a Christian. All of these men, the very moment people begin to profess their Christianity, you need to question them immediately.
yeah,
Immediately. And this is a man that shares porn with his son. I don't know if people know this. He shares an app with his son in order to check their porn usage, and they have talked
what?
about it. Yeah, go look it up if you can find it on Google anymore. Try to Google it. This is right when he became speaker. They were talking about him and his adopted son, how they share an app on porn so they can talk about the pornography they look at. He can check his son. Let me tell you something. I have a 13-year-old son. Do you know that I have never talked to him about, hey, son, let me see your porn? In fact, if I catch porn on your phone, we got a major, major problem. I'm not sharing. I'm not talking. Listen, we live in a sexually perverse world where our leaders
Demonic.
are sexually, they're demonic, and they're part of this child sex trafficking in America of unaccompanied alien children and our own children. Pedophilia rules. Sexual perversion rules our society right now, and it has a profound impact on everything we're discussing today.
This is J.J. Carrell. He's a retired Border Patrol agent. In fact, you led several units, decorated, and then became an author. You've written, as far as I know, 2 books, maybe more, and you've made documentaries now too. Let's watch from one of your other documentaries this trailer, and then go to his website jjcarrell.com, and you can actually watch the entire film. Check this out. Okay, coming back from that trailer. 5, 4, 3, 2. Do you know who Gil Maza is? Does that name sound familiar?
It's a very good friend of mine. Very good friend of mine.
I love that guy. I've had him on at least twice now. I'll have him on again. As a matter of fact, I'd love to do a show with the two of you.
He's a great guy. He and I
Isn't
think
he?
a
He
lot. Yeah,
really is.
wonderful guy.
As at least as long as a quarter of a century of service with the Border
Mhm.
Patrol, he threw out a stat last time I had him on that floored me
Okay, what
because
was it?
since the 70s, Democrats, politicians, media have been saying, "Oh, there's only about 10 million illegals
Mhm.
here in the United States of America." That's just from the southern border. And but Gil said it's more like 45 or 50 million. You
Yes,
agree
he's
with that?
100. That's 100% correct. If you give me a minute, I'll tell you exactly how we came to this number. So for the first 5 years of my career, I heard 5, 6 million, 5, 6 million. I knew that was a lie. And then overnight, in about 2011, it jumped to 11 million, like literally overnight. And then in 2019, Yale and MIT did a study, not two conservative bastions of thought, right? Yale and MIT did a demographic study, pushed all this demographic data into an algorithm, ran that algorithm 1 million times, and came out with the height of illegal aliens living in America in 2019 was 29 million. The mean, the average, every single time they ran that algorithm over a million times, they came out with 22 million illegal aliens. And everybody in media, in law enforcement, and politicians said, yep, 22 million. And it went straight and doubled to 22 million. Fast forward.
But yet it wasn't reported, was it?
No, we all
Mm.
knew it. I watched it. I would say I'm an academic as well as a guy that has been there and done it. So I research constantly. That number was grotesque in the form of being conservative. It was closer to 30 million, but I like to play the game of let's go off what the government admits. The government admitted 22 million. Joe Biden,
Yeah, that
his
was
own
before Biden
that was
opened the border.
before Joe Biden's border. He admits, Joe Biden's administration admits to 18 million. 18 million. That's 40 million.
Well, you know,
I'm
it's far
telling
more than
you,
that, and that does not include the gotaways, does it?
well, that includes 3 million gotaways that they claim. Gil Maza, people like that, and myself that are in this business, we know that the getaways are closer to 15 to 18 million. You have over 50 million illegal aliens living in America. 1 in 6 to 1 in 7 residents in the United States of America is an illegal alien.
Did you hear
And
that
we're
stat? Did you hear what he just said? 1 in every 6 in the United States of America are here illegally. How do we
no,
fight against that? We
well,
can't
for
deport enough.
no. Well, you can deport all these people. Do you have the willpower to do it? Will you put the military? If I was in charge, if Donald Trump ever came to me and said, JJ, what would you have done? Well, this is what I would have done, sir. I would put a partner with Tom Homan, and that partner would be someone like Colonel Douglas McGregor. It would be a retired general that ran military operations, and he would be in charge of facilitating the movement of the arrestees, meaning jails, the pipeline to move them, the planes, everything that needs to happen to move illegal aliens out. Tom Homan, I would also have Tom Homan have 100, 200 lieutenants like myself and other people that have been in this job and done it, ran large stations, ran task forces, and knows how to utilize this. But that's not being done. And you have to ask yourself a big question. Why? Why is this not being done? Why are we doing raids? And I love it. I love the raids, but we're raiding or we're looking for one criminal alien. And yet, America doesn't know this. The federal government is still paying for hotels and shelters that have thousands of illegal aliens in them. And we're not going after them. Why? Why are we not going after the Roosevelt Hotel or the shelter in Chicago that has 2,000 people, hotel in New York that has 5,000 people? Why are we not doing that? Because somebody in the Trump administration is sabotaging what needs to be done. And I don't know. I've not figured it out yet. You have Stephen Miller, who is a border hawk. That guy is a genius. I don't know why this is taking so long. It's not, if somebody came in to me and said, JJ, you need to figure out how you're going to build a spaceship and go to Mars, I would say, well, that's never going to happen. I don't know anything about that. JJ, how do we move out 50 million illegal aliens? Okay, sit down. You ready? I'm going to tell you. It's not rocket science. It's not. Are you telling me the greatest country in the world can't remove millions of peasants, millions of people that are illiterate in their own language, meaning they not English, they can't speak or write or read their own language? You're telling me I can't do that? Are you serious? How about this? How about we do this right off the bat? Because, and everyone's going to flip their lid because the Real ID Act. It doesn't matter. It's already there. You have to have one. And it has your Social Security in it. How about if you can't show me a real ID that checks out with a Social Security card through E-Verify, you're deported. And if I find you, Tyson's meatpacking chicken plant, you have 1,000 illegal aliens in your employment, I just fined you $5,000 per person.
I was going to say,
back, yeah,
and there are laws. Those laws are in place. They're just not being put into effect.
Thank you so much for saying that. Everyone thinks that there needs to be some gigantic legislative model. No, the laws are already there. We just don't enforce them. Right. You know that I have the right to go to chicken plant, go walk right in it, look at all their I-9s, and if I don't, I can start fining you $2,000 to $5,000 per person. If I come back again, I'm going to seize your property. I'm seizing it, Tyson. You're done. And you say, well, who's going to do our fruit? Who's going to clean our rooms? Okay, hold on a second. I've
heard Chuck Schumer literally say that. AOC has said that. Nancy Pelosi has said that. It's so racist.
It is incredibly racist.
They won't do they'll do the work that we won't do because
you had a congresswoman say that, and excuse my curse word. You had a congressperson on the floor say, "Who is going to wipe our asses?"
Yeah,
they literally said that.
Yes.
Now, just so your audience understands, that is a propaganda lie. The largest segment of illegal aliens in a work segment of our economy is construction. And everyone goes, well, yeah, they're like 70% of our construction. No, they're not. They're 7%. 7. Are you telling me the greatest economy in the world is reliant on illiterate peasants? You're trying to convince me this $1 trillion juggernaut called the United States of America economy is going to crash if I don't have illiterate peasants from Guatemala, El Salvador, and the Middle East and continent Africa? Really? You're really going to tell me this? And people go, well, who's going to do our fruit? Well, the service industry is less than the construction industry. The service industry is about 6%. Are you telling me out of 100 people working fast food, I lost 6 of them, that fast food economy is going to crash? No. What's going to happen is you're going to have to pay American workers a higher wage. That's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah, and the left is always championing unions. It's unions that have priced us right out of being ever competitive in the world market. And not sustainable. And now we've seen the results of that. You talked about absconding businesses to put illegals in. California did that with a lot of hotels. That's still going on. We used to have a work release program. We used to have a program through immigration that if you wanted to work the fields or whatever, you could come here on a work visa. That's been thrown out the window. And it's not an accident because they are getting a voting block. In California, Governor Jerry Brown, that swine of a man, actually made it legal for illegals to get driver's licenses. And this is going back to what, 07, 06? I'm like, or 16 rather.
Yeah, because the DMV makes you immediate voters.
And I was like, why? Why would we do that? That makes no sense. And then I understood because the next phase was the motor voter law.
Correct.
You have a driver's license, you can register to vote. Oh, you're not here legally? That's okay. We won't ask you that. And well, they are voting.
I'm glad you brought this up because people ask me, what's the why? Why did Joe Biden allow 30 million people into America in 4 years? And the answer to that is very simple. 2030 census is coming. And when the Democrats want every illegal alien counted. So when that happens, I want your audience to understand when they reappropriate the House seats, they are going to flip the House to 25 to 62 blue seats. We have a 4-seat majority, and we're like patting ourselves on the back. Can you imagine if the Democrats had a majority of 60 seats? It's over.
Don't have to imagine it. You see it in California. Do you want that for
Absolutely
your
in
nation?
California. And
Yeah.
then what? And then when we do the census, what are they going to do with electoral college votes? They're going to reappropriate it. Where are all the illegal aliens? The majority of them living blue states. So you're going to take electoral college votes from red states and give them to blue states. The game's over. That's the long game. That's what the Democrats are looking at in the less than 4 years, is to have absolute demographic change, upheaval, and control of the United States of America. If you don't think this is happening, I need your audience to understand. Do you know that the Black Americans are no longer the number one minority in America?
No.
Hispanics are. They have been artificially inflated in America to surpass Black Americans. Who voted for that? Did anybody vote for that? No. We have a
Well,
demographic change.
you did vote for it by not voting at all, Republicans.
Yeah.
You did vote for that, actually, by not voting. So we have horrific people in tremendous positions of power in these blue states, all because, well, my vote doesn't count, or I don't want to get involved, or I don't want to vote against God. I've actually heard Christians say that. Well, I don't know who God wants me to vote for. Really? You can't vote along biblical principles? Well, no, I'd actually have to read the Bible first.
Well, what did when you started out the interview by talking about 1/3 is just Christians. I mean, that's shocking, right? But when you start, like I'm Catholic, and you go into the Catholic faith, I think it's like 50% of Catholics vote. 50%. What the not hey, I'm a Catholic. No, 50% of the church-going Catholics do not vote. It's very clear who you vote for. You vote, do you believe in the sanctity of life? Do you believe that God is the creator? Then you can't vote for the Democrats.
Traditional marriage, sanctity of life. Yeah.
I say,
Pretty
Charlie, I
simple.
say this every time. If you are a Democrat, you cannot be a Christian. You can't. If
I
you're a
agree.
Christian, you can't be a Democrat. And then when my Democrat friends say something, I say, well, square it for me. Tell me. You can't pick and choose from the Bible what you believe in. You can't. And don't tell me about the Republican side. Just stop. Tell me about your side. Tell me how you can vote for abortion on demand, mutilating children, same sex marriage, transgender ideology, euthanasia, stealing money through socialism. Go on. I can keep going. But those 5 or 6 things off the top of my head, explain it to me. Explain it to me how God says that's okay. Go.
I can explain it with Jesus' own words. If you love me, follow my commandments. What was
Period.
his commandment about anybody who messes with children?
You're going to go in the depths of hell into the sea with a
Yeah.
millstone around your neck.
And he did not say you should put a heavy millstone around your own neck. He said it should be put around your neck,
Yeah.
and you should be cast into the sea. I am stocking up on millstones, not to throw at law enforcement. I wish I could find a millstone company. I'd buy stock in it.
Well,
But
you're talking about children for a second. Let's talk about the very dirty thing that no one wants to talk about. Our federal government for 4 years trafficked over 550,000 children into America. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. came out in a cabinet hearing and then under congressional testimony and made this statement that HHS was the main collaborator, the principal trafficker of children into sex, into slavery, and over 500,000 children are gone. They can't find them. And yet not one person's arrested. Joe Biden, I lived this. My last year in the Border Patrol was Joe Biden's first year. I lived this. I watched it transpire. This man, Joe Biden, Mayorkas, and Harris, they traffic children into America and they cannot find them. They can't. Look, my pen. You know how hard it is to lose my pen? Do you know how hard it is to lose 500,000 pens? And this is just an object where I can just throw. How do you lose 500,000 children? And I'm going to tell you that number is closer to 1.5 million to 2
I
million.
believe it's through the foster system. The Child Protective Services is a big one.
Yeah, but I'm talking about unaccompanied alien children that we brought in from
So am
other
I.
countries.
So am
Well,
I.
yeah,
When they are taken into custody, what happens to them? They're farmed out to state systems for the most part of Child Protective Services and the foster system, and then they disappear.
They do. I have a very good friend, Ann Vandersteel, who's doing documentaries, beginning to film documentaries on the Child Protective Services. Uh, do you know who the overseer of all 50 states CPS is?
No,
HHS. Do you make connect the dots? Let me make one more dot connection for you, Charlie. Do you know who is oversees all the procurement of organ? All organs have to go through HHS. Do you
you're
connect the
talking about
dots now?
harvesting. You're talking about organ
Harvesting.
harvesting of children.
Yes, that goes through HHS. Everything runs through. Do you know who has the largest budget in America? The largest, 1/4 of all money, federal money goes to HHS. We
What?
are living we are living in the age of awakening, and everyone is beginning to connect the dots to realize that our federal government of America, United States of America federal government, is corrupt. Not just corrupt, our government is evil. I believe that, and I stand by it. Words have meanings, and I pick my words very carefully. I don't come off the cuff. I'm very sure of what I'm saying. Our federal government is evil, and the people that run it are evil. The idea that Trump's in office with his cabinet, I love those people. You're looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of administrative deep staters that are destroying our country, and they're evil. You have Joe Biden. Joe Biden is at worst a predator, child predator, pedophile. At the best case scenario, he's a sexual deviant. No man, no man touches young children the way he does. None. And why did they allow that to happen?
In
Because they
public.
in public. Well, why, Charlie? Because they have to allow you to see that they know that you know that they
Let's talk
know
about
that they're pedophiles.
let's talk about that.
Okay.
Until I got into the whole podcasting thing and started my own thing with talk radio, I was just one of those goofy morning show DJs, the funny guy doing the wacky show and entertaining you all day. And so I've had to dramatically shift my thinking, and I'm
Mhm.
always asking questions. And I've heard people talk about exactly this, that there is a concerted effort of and it has something to do with, call it what you want, Illuminati,
Mhm.
cabal, Freemasonry, whatever you want to call it. I call it demonic. I call it they're doing the devil's work just as quickly as possible, for his time is short. They have some sort of code
Mhm.
that they have to let us know what they're actually doing and what they're planning on doing, so that it assuages their guilt. They don't have any guilt over it. Now, I don't know how much guilt they have. Their consciences have been seared, obviously.
Mhm.
But is that true? What do you know about that?
I believe that is true because you don't I don't need someone to tell me that. I can just look with my own eyes. I can look at the Pizzagate. I can look at Podesta having child sex torture art throughout his house. I can see on Epstein's portrait of Bill Clinton in a blue dress.
In the
I
blue
can see
dress.
it all. It's all around us. Why do you think they let Joe Biden, who is mentally incapacitated, to roam freely, sniff, kiss, lick children, pull children close, cup their breast, cup their inner thighs and inner hips? Who does that? I have nieces. I would never hug my niece in that way ever,
Mm-mm.
ever. No one would do that except somebody that is unleashed as a pedophile and knows that there's no repercussions. That's Joe Biden. And what the left did is they allowed him to do
In
it
an
through
effort to
saying
make it seem normal.
normal and to let us know you can't do anything about it. We're going to do whatever the hell we want to do, and you can't do anything about it. And they're right. We can't do anything about it because we're gutless. And know who I blame? I blame everything, everything at the foot of the American man. And I'll go one step further. I blame everything at the feet of the Christian man.
Yes.
We allowed it to
Yes.
happen. Why? Why
Yes.
do we allow? Think of this. We won't speak up at work. We won't speak up on social media. We won't speak up in sporting events. We won't speak up anywhere. Why? Because we're afraid of being doxxed. We're afraid of losing our social media. While You are allowing transgender men to have one-on-one contact with your child in school. You're allowing grotesque, perverted, homosexual, gender ideology, transgender, to have naked parades where they do sex acts in front of children on Main Street. And you're telling me that this is all, don't worry about it, it's all okay? We don't need God. I'm allowed to have anal sex with another man on Main Street in front of children. And you're telling me it's okay. I'm allowed to dress up in a drag outfit that I look like Satan with breast, and I have children on my laps in the library teaching you and reading to you story hour, and it's okay. I'm the crazy one, but they're normal. And you're right, they normalized it all. I'm a Catholic. We've allowed the Catholic Church to be inundated with homosexuals, then took the next step in to child molestation and rape. Think of this. I want to say this. The major NGOs are all run by religious organizations, all religion, all the way down to Seventh-day Adventists, Baptist Church, Lutherans, Jewish, and Catholic Charities. I want to make this point because I think it needs to be said out loud because no one wants to say it. From 2009 to 2024, the conservative number of money given to Catholic Charities, which is connected to Catholic Church, was $5.2 billion. Do you know how much money was given to sexual victims of the Catholic Church from 2009 to 2024? $5.2 billion.
Yeah.
The exact same amount. The exact same amount. Look at what we have become.
We paid for them to have to pay off those victims.
Yes, we did. And what did the Catholic Church do for that $5.2 billion? Well, they moved children and they moved, quote, refugees into America to destroy the sovereignty of America.
And to pad the ballot box and to also put butts in their seats at church because their membership has dropped so dramatically.
But the money they got from...
You import these Catholics. Now you got a whole bunch of people hanging out.
But Charlie, the money they get, the money they received just from Joe Biden in 4 years was $3.2 billion. That's what we know about. $3.2 billion in 4 years. The total cost of illegal aliens in America in 4 years under Joe Biden surpassed $1 trillion. $1 trillion. USAID through Doge. I knew this. I wrote about it in my book, Treason. Elon Musk proved it through Doge that USAID was taking hundreds of billions of dollars, giving it to George Soros type NGOs, who then funded all the NGOs to move 30 million people into America. And then once in America, our federal government funded DHS, laundered the money through FEMA, and FEMA gave it to Catholic Charities, Jewish Family Services, to move 30 million people into the interior of America. At the same time, they were moving them to the interior of America. They were registering them all to vote.
And oftentimes military planes and vehicles, which really pissed me off.
Well, when you start diving into the fact, not just talking about northern and southern border entries, when you realize and discover that our federal government chartered planes, not commercial, chartered planes to go across the globe and pack them with illegal aliens and flew them into America off the books. Your government did that by the millions. Millions.
I have friends who went down to the border before. I always knew it was bad and that the border was porous. And the only time any effective stoppage of that was the wall, which, of course, when President Trump was not able to finish it in time. And look what Biden did, stopped the building and the completion of it and left all those materials that we'd already paid for out in the desert to rot. That pig. And we had it was effective. If it would have been completed, it would have been. Literally, Biden would have had to go in and dismantle, and that was happening, wasn't it? These cartels have the capability of metal cutting devices and so on, where they're cutting out whole sections of that wall that President Trump built. What was there, and nobody was talking about it. Nobody was saying anything, and I kept hearing about it, and I'm like, okay. Then I met Mike Grant, who's a NorCal guy who goes down to the border. Kim Yater would take our border back. Scotty Sachs take our border back. extraordinary patriots, extraordinary people, strength of character like I've never known. I feel privileged just to know them. And they went down there. Then they started telling us we're going to do a convoy down there. I
Mhm.
went and I started seeing things for myself. And I was like, son of a bitch, this is infuriating. What's going on? How come nobody's talking about it? Well, they're not talking about it because the media is not covering it.
Mhm.
And they're still getting their information from the mainstream media, even conservatives. They're watching Fox News and thinking they're actually getting the true story.
No, Fox News has no idea what they're talking about. None.
Oh, I think they do. I think they do. The
They don't
greatest
even
lie that the mainstream media has ever told is the lie of omission, never
Mhm.
telling you about it in the first place. But I started meeting these people and getting together with them and going to the border with them and seeing things for myself. And I was reporting it as I could, as
Mhm.
much as I could with my little resources and my little show, just to try and get the word out and get people excited and get people understanding. We got to do something now. Something's, I don't care what it is, just do something. But
Mhm.
the apathy I've been seeing, especially from my own fellow Californians, has been stunning. Well, they're just looking for a better life. Why don't you shut that up right now?
Mhm.
If they were looking for a better life and they respected the country that they're coming into, they'd be doing it legally. They'd be following our laws, but they're not. And they're being allowed to not follow our laws. And they're coming in here saying, well, I just want a better life. Well, there's a whole bunch before you who came in legally who
Mhm.
also wanted a better life and they're getting it. And they didn't get a $5,000 debit card when they walked across the border from FEMA
Mhm.
and a free phone and a free rent and free this and free that and free transportation wherever they wanted to go. They didn't get that.
Mhm.
Where are the people who came here legally? Where are they? Why are they not speaking up? I'm not hearing anything from them. And it's my understanding they hate it. They hate it
Yeah.
because it's not fair that they had to go through all that and then these people just walk across and get everything. Where are
Yeah.
they?
They're afraid because they're living in the same barrios and they're scared to death. We've allowed this to happen. And you know what you tell people that say they're here for a better life? You ask them, there's 4 billion people on planet Earth that live in poverty. How many do we bring in? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Okay, you want them to have a better life. They're all coming. They're all coming. Do you take in 4 billion? Of course not. That's stupid. Okay, well, tell me how many. And we always come to a number about 10, 20 million. I said, okay, 20 million's already here. What are you going to do about the 1.98 billion? And I just sit here in silence and I go, you build a wall, don't you? And you have law and order, don't you? And they look at me like, yeah. And I go, well, why is your wall so benevolent and kind and my wall's racist? And they just sit there, they stare at me. It's just silence. And I go, you
Great
don't have an
question.
answer, do you? You don't. See,
It has
you're
nothing to do with race, by the
no.
way, because there weren't just Latino people coming across the border. They were coming in from all over the world. So it has nothing to do with race, does it? Has everything to do with rule of law. And now
Yes.
President Trump is saying we need to help out these farmers, these white people who are being targeted and tortured and murdered and
And
having
they
their
hated
farms
them.
and their ranches stolen. We need to bring them in and give them some rescue. And everybody freaks. Oh, you
Because
just wanna help the white people.
it's okay to be racist against white men.
It
Absolutely, it's
absolutely
okay.
is. And the
It
most
is.
racist people I've ever known in my life are not white.
They are. I absolutely believe it. I will never, and I tell my son, you know what, Charlie, I talk to my son as if I'm a black man in the 1950s, speaking to my son as I drive him to school and telling him, son, don't you ever apologize for the color of your skin. God made you perfectly exactly how he wants you to. Your life is worthy and you can do anything you want. It was wrong in the 50s, and it's sure as the hell wrong right now that I have to tell my son, who's white with blonde hair, blue eyes, that son, they think you're the devil. I said, you have to be physically, emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually superior to everyone in order to just survive, son. And you need to be ready to fight. And you better be ready to articulate why you believe what you believe, and then you better be physically ready to have an altercation because that's the world that unfortunately I brought you into.
Buddy, I've been saying that if there is a civil war like everybody keeps talking about, it's not gonna be citizen against citizen. It's gonna be citizens against illegal people who are here
Mhm.
illegally because they have amassed a $50 million or 50 million member army, basically.
But they're
And not all
cowards.
of them will step. Most of them are. Yes, you're
They're
right. A lot of them
cowards.
are.
And
Yeah,
the criminals
unless they're getting
are go.
paid, like in
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, but they'll turn tail and run if you show any kind of force. And that's why I implore Donald Trump to take the gloves off everybody and just say, "I need you to clear the streets. I need everyone arrested that does not clear the streets.
It has
Anyone
to
that
be well,
touches
it
you."
has to be shut down immediately, or it will grow
Yeah.
like a cancer, and it already is.
And there needs to be a rules of engagement. If they push up on you, if you're making arrests and people are surrounding, then you need to take your weapon out and you are a deadly force situation and you need to start shooting the adversary. This idea that I am a police officer making an arrest and somebody is behind me, kicking me and punching me, and I have to OC spray them or take my baton out or tase them. No. The rules of engagement, the use of force continuum says that I have the right to take my gun out, stick it in their face, and blow their head off because my life is in danger and threat. But because we have impotent police, we have no leadership, nobody trains or talks like this. If I was in charge, I would tell all of my guys, if you are attacked, your gun comes out and you blast them. Because if there's one person hitting you, there will be 20. And then I
Yes,
can't do anything for you, son.
right.
You're going to die.
That's that gang mentality, absolutely, and they always love to hit from behind.
Mhm.
Um, I just had someone on yesterday, retired Marine, and went and greeted the 700 Marines brought in from 29 Palms, and was there when they delivered the ammunition. And there were all these protesters freaking out because these trucks were coming in with all this ammunition.
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, they're most likely carrying M4s, right?
Mhm.
Was it actually hardball ammo?" And he goes, "Rubber bullets.
Mhm. Yep.
They don't have real ammo in there." And if
Because
anybody
again,
watching right now is pissed off that I'm letting people know that
come
they
on, how
don't actually
fast?
have real live
Yeah,
ammunition in there, you know what? The people on the left already know that.
they
They
know it.
already know that. It's you that doesn't know that.
But isn't this come full circle what I said at the very beginning that everything we do, law enforcement, is half-assed? It's all half-assed.
Yeah,
Do you think the Chinese military and police or the Russian military police are having rubber bullets in their guns?
no,
You think they have rubber bullets?
certainly not.
Do you think the Mexican federales have rubber bullets in their guns? Do you see how stupid this is? I mean, I can go down the 195 nations on planet Earth. Nobody has rubber guns in it, rubber bullets, except us, Canada, and the stupid Western European nations. That's it. We're trying to fight savages with both of our hands tied behind our back, and then we're sitting there going, "I just don't know why that they can't contain it." It's because we don't have the courage to do what's right.
No.
We don't. We don't have men like us running it. That's just the truth. That's just a I remember my father telling me this. My father was a big bear of a man, and he would tell me, "Son, back then it wasn't DEI. They just called it whatever. They've destroyed all the standards for competence, physical ability, intellect, you name it, son. They've taken away. We are heading down a rabbit hole of destruction." And he was right. He was absolutely right. You have fat, obese DEI hires wearing a gun and a badge. Literally, if they got in a fight after the second punch they threw, they would have a heart attack and die.
We saw that
That's
in
it.
New York when only 5 illegals took down 2 police officers who were as you just described. Remember that? Did you ever
Yeah.
see the video of that?
Do you know that me and my buddies back in the day, that would be a prayer, an answer from God? We would pray for situations like that. I
Sick 'em.
would I would go to work and I would think, man, I hope some people really try to beat me up today because I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them. But you know why
Now,
I'm
if you
so
think that sounds harsh, you think that's cruel,
no.
that's what fighting, that's what the military trains us to do. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they train us to do.
Why do you
Uh,
think
that
why do
that
you
is our
think that
job, is to go
yes.
in and wreck things
Why do you
and to
think that the
drive out bad guys.
killings don't they when we use except when we use force, when we use deadly force, why do you think the casualties are not as high as you think? It's because the message gets delivered. If you cross this boundary, I'm going to pull my trigger and I'm going to put a bullet down range and I'm going to catch you with it and you're going to die. It's not like in the movies. It's not you're not going to run away. You're going to fall down and then your body's going to shut down and die. I'm going to do that a couple times, and everyone else goes, "Holy crap, they're
Yeah.
for real."
This
Okay,
is
I'm
real.
out.
This
You're
just got real. It's not, the
$12,000.
paycheck isn't worth it, or the
Nope, I'm
cash,
out.
whatever you get paid.
I'm out. Right. So,
I one last thing, because I know you got to go. But one last thing, Jesse Kelly is just absolutely my favorite syndicated radio talk show host. And he's a former Marine, career Marine, and no, I'm sorry, excuse me. I think he only did 4 years, but um, he said this is great that they're talking about deporting all these illegals now and sending them back wherever they came from. It's going to cost us a tremendous amount of money, but in the long run, it's going to save us billions and even trillions because
mhm,
of what these illegals are costing us. So it's worth it. So put that argument aside. He goes, here's what's going to happen, though. I'll never forget him saying this on the air, and I realized, holy cow, he's right. And now I'm seeing it happen in Los Angeles. He said the first time they put some mom screaming and wailing and crying because her child is being taken away, or they'll show the child screaming and
mhm,
wailing and crying because they took mom or dad or both away, uh, everybody's resolve will evaporate. People all of a sudden go, oh, maybe we should rethink this. Oh, this
mhm,
isn't right. That's what they're doing in Los Angeles now. They're getting that kind of footage. They're
mhm.
getting and they're loving it. The media's loving it. And it's happening, isn't it? People are going, well, maybe we should just, give them citizenship and
Mhm.
try and work this out.
California, last year, you are now approaching $1 trillion in debt. Last year, you gave $9.7 billion to illegal aliens for healthcare. You're bankrupt and you gave $10 billion. You're crying, you're upset that a child is being deported. There are hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens, English as a second language, inside your schools, destroying your child's education. There are people from the third world that are sexually assaulting your children in school. They're raping your wives. The pedophilia is rampant. Do you still want to keep them in your country? It's a question that needs to be answered.
JJCarroll.com. JJ Carroll, Carrell.com. You'll find access to his books, to his documentaries that he's been making. You are an extraordinary gentleman. You retired, like you said, 4 years ago. After a career with Border Patrol, you got yourself a pretty good retirement. You could have just sat back and went, we're getting an RV, honey. Let's hit the road. But you're not. You didn't do that. Instead, you're diving right into this area where people hate you because of what you're saying. And
Mhm.
nobody can deny that it's truthful what you're saying because you've lived it. We didn't even get into what it's like being a Border Patrol agent, and I want to. I'd love to have you on again. Maybe I could get you on with Gil Mazza too at the same time if you'd like. I
That would
sure
be
would.
great. I would love
No,
that. That'd be
you
great.
do so many of these, though. I know when you're doing like a book tour or a movie tour, you're doing so many of these shows. So I appreciate your patience with me and coming on my little old show. And jjcarroll.com. Please go there. Please see what he's done, what he's doing, and what he's going to do. You got something in the works?
I thought I was going to do another book in about a year or two about what Donald Trump's been able to accomplish, but I can't wait. He does things at such a fast pace that
He
I got to
does.
start doing it. So
That
I'm on
doesn't mean
that.
it's implemented though, but yes, he does
No,
it.
and I give him a great amount of grace because the enormity of what he's trying to change, the systemic treason that has been going on for decades, it's not going to happen overnight. So I applaud him just for having the courage to even get out and say what needs to be said. But
I
I
agree.
I appreciate your time today, man, and giving me such wide berth to talk about this topic. And it is uncomfortable, and people don't like to hear it. And I honestly don't care. I want to tell you the truth
Right.
and what I believe in. That's it,
Yeah,
and I want to
me
save
too.
America. I want
Right
I
there with
want
you.
my old America back. And if that means removing your ass out of my country, then that's what we're going to do.
And so be it. What a blessing. Thank you, my friend. And I will talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you very much.
That was nice. That was great. I'm glad I finally got him on. I admire him. He's a admirable gentleman. And you can help this show at charliesimons.com. There's ways you can give and support financially. I desperately need a new computer. And you'll find everything, 4 different ways you can give financially. You can write me, you can contact me, you can even book yourself to be on my show. all at charliesimons.com. CharlieSimons, charliesimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. Most importantly, though, America bless God.